Hello everybody. This is, like many of my videos, just an impromptu chat about playing uh, an after-school program with young people in grade 7 and 8, middle school kids. And these young people, these youth, were with me from October, the beginning of October, all the way until just yesterday, June the 15th, here in 2023. We played one group Tuesday and one group Wednesday. The grade 7s were on Wednesday and the grade 8s were on Tuesday. And these two groups, the grade 8 had one of a grade 7 young person in the group. And the other group of 4 grade 7s went through transitions where they had one person who was there for quite some time. They were in grade 6 and didn't work out for a number of reasons. One, immaturity, another one being um, a lack of complete and total interest and investment in that time and in the game. We went to another individual, a person who is gender fluid, recognized as such in the school, and that individual was there for about 3 weeks, chose the character, and uh, and then decided that this wasn't for them. And so then we had another person come in, and that's just the nature of an after-school program. So what occurred was, up until about 3 months ago, they were playing Vaesen, and one group was playing uh, one group was playing the adventure in the core rule book. I forget its exact name, but it's the Witch Cat Inn. And then the other group was playing Summer in December. So the Tuesday group, Summer in December, and the Wednesday group was playing the core book, get its name, but the Witch Cat Inn is where the focal point was. As I said, about 3 months ago, they had been bugging me about playing a sci-fi game, and so I basically I led up to it over a couple of weeks where they were seeing weird images. They didn't know if this was a Vaesen or whatever, and then all of a sudden they started. They realized after the fact that one day they came into school expecting that they were going to wrap up their scenario, and as they approached the graveyard in one scenario, and as they approached the Queen of the Spring in the other scenario, there was a blinding light, and they were being woken up by an NPC who was a humanite in Coriolis, and they both had a Nor. One was numbered differently. This Nor was 165, I think, in one group, and 425, I think, in another group. And so these Nor units were basically built the same way, and they were a mechanism to help lead them through the game mechanics and help them if they got stuck. Um, they woke up in pods and were all of a sudden thrown into. One group was thrown into a frozen inferno, classic Coriolis scenario. So frozen inferno was the first group, the Tuesday group, the older group, and the other group, the ones that were in the Witch Cat Inn, and it caught fire and burnt down, and it was a mess. And anyway, they did solve the issue, and without spoilers, the stuff that was supposed to happen happened, and they did. The truth about Station 18. So they did The Truth About Station 18, another classic Coriolis adventure, and I took some liberties towards the end, but essentially, in both cases, um, it was fun. One of the tests that I did with the kids was in Vaesen, they chose their characters, they chose the look. Yes, I used AI. I'm sure that people are now shutting off the video. But I used Midjourney with the descriptions of the characters that they wanted. Did a number of different images that had come up and gave them the option to choose what their character looked like from about 5 or 6 options. So they, all in all, they were very much a part of the process of building up the characters. In Coriolis, I gave them characters because I wanted to surprise them, built on essentially how they were role playing and what I thought would fit their characteristics. And there were two who, because a couple of players were missing, we started to develop their potential Coriolis characters if we ever played the game in the summer. They had no clue that I had intended to make this mid winter switch. So I wanted to see if it made a difference being invested in the character like they were with Vaesen and Coriolis, and what the Coriolis situation was all about. Would they be happy to play what essentially were pre-gens? And so anyway, this week we had their last sessions on Tuesday and Wednesday, and yesterday on Thursday we had a pizza party for the 8 who were currently playing. And so they had the pizza. We talked about the characters. It was great fun. I had, obviously, for those of you who know, I'm a priest. And so we had it at my parish hall, which everything is like, you know, the school is about 25 yards away. Parish hall is about 25 yards away. And I'm in the rectory. And so the kids came over to the hall. And of course, I had my administrator there, and I also had one of my executive members there. So we were well overseen, and they would come out as the kids were eating and ask them, how was it? Like, what were your favorite moments and stuff? So they were pleased to see that the time that I had invested with the kids was certainly, they caught the enthusiasm that these 8 young people were articulating to them. So that's kind of where we started, and I created the night before a questionnaire. Now, I keep on forgetting that young people are not that great at not only cursive, but just writing in general. Most of them plug everything into the computer. So there was a little bit of I needed my wife's help, kind of checking on what a word might have meant because it was very bizarre to read. But overall, I was able to read pretty much everything. And there were a series of questions. Some were yes and no, and some were, most of them were written answers. And so that's what I'm going to do today, is just give you some of their impressions of what they thought of everything. Um, so these are the questions that I asked. So the first question was, what part of role-playing was the most difficult to learn and why? Now, I was playing Year Zero engines with them. So if you're interested in Year Zero engine and playing with young people, this is what they found most difficult to learn. And I did say, and why. Some said the critical hits, not killing. I don't know what that was about, but I know the person. The mechanics, learning the new game, and I would imagine that that meant Coriolis because it is different from Vaesen. The dice, because it was confusing, and 3 of the 8 didn't answer that question. Um, When I ask what was your favorite game, giving them a choice between Vaesen and Coriolis, it was tied. 4 liked Vaesen, 4 liked Coriolis. That was their favorite. Did you enjoy playing your character in Vaesen? 6 said yes, 1 said no. And I ask why. Uh, Loved my backstory. It's cool being a researcher. I kept being taken over. That was the Revenant. There will be spoilers. Please, there will be spoilers. I'll have to put something in the beginning. Stinky Stomach. One of the characters a crit was rolled against them. They opened up their stomach and they were saved, but I said that there was basically they were going to be stinky for the rest of their lives, and they were this superstar who was a soccer player on the back of all these newspapers and stuff. So, but he only played one session with his stinky stomach. One person said he was rich and rad. I liked the looks and how I had medicine, and it was cool being a witch. And of course, that's definitely Vaesen. Did you enjoy playing Coriolis? 7 said yes, 1 said no. And when I ask why, because he had a good gun and a drone, very strong. I liked being an Indian Han Solo. So I think they interpret Arabian as being Indian or East Indian or Asian, if you want to put it into British terms. But I get the sentiment. I understand what they meant. I was the boss. Another person put I was the leader. And of course, captain of the ship with both of those people. Someone didn't answer the question. We hacked into people's heads. And that was with the nanites. And I gave one of the characters with Datagin the opportunity of hacking into these guys' heads. And it was a very difficult role. And they actually achieved it and more. And so this became a very favorite moment, and it was toward the end of just a couple of weeks ago. I did not like the looks as much as my Vaesen character. Would you play Vaesen again? 6 said yes, 1 said no. So not everybody answered that question because there were 8 people. And I shuffled up the answers, and I didn't have any names on them. So I really don't completely know who wrote what. Would you play Coriolis again? 7 said yes, 1 said no, but I do know that that no was different from the no previously stated, did you enjoy playing Coriolis? They would play Coriolis again, but they didn't enjoy playing Coriolis because they didn't have the agency in creating the character. So I felt that that was very important. Pre-gens may not work with a younger person. They may very much appreciate the process of creating a character. That was very telling for me. What was the best scene in Vaesen and why? Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. The fire and the Queen of so that was in a different thing. The Queen of the Spring was so cool. The bar, that was the inn in the Vaesen story of the Summer in December. So I had them go to the inn, and there was a scene where they had the hunter there, and there was a number of kind of accusations, and they were looking for the kids, and so they were sitting at the bar, listening in to the conversations, and there was a lot of animation that went on during that storytelling. When I got stabbed, and it was kind of scary, and when I saw children in the animals, and if you know the story, you'll know. I liked when the Revenant came and the lights turned purple. I had the circle, I had all the candles turn a purplish glow. The whole thing, one young person wrote, yelling to Snuggles, which was the name of a dog, a hunter dog, because he was awesome. What was the worst in Vaesen? One of the people wrote The Cellar. My stomach, that was the person who got injured. Nothing. There was no worst. A blank answer. When one of the individuals climbed the tree when I was burning. This was the individual who didn't really care too much about the game and was more on their own than being a team player. There was not a worse part. And the first day I was bored. And I think that that is very telling for me, that that was an important element for me to know. What was the best scene in Coriolis and why? A certain character, a certain player character killing another character, and that was on the last day, and that was because the other character was absent. And so I had the player character, or the character who was not there, who had turned into a nanite, kind of melee biting aggressor, grab on to this person's leg as they were trying to run onto the ship to escape. And so they both ended up being exploded in the nuclear event. When we fought the Kobos, they were hard to kill and overall really fun. The biome, killing Raquel, who was the mercenary leader, and all of it was really fun. The base, they loved the base in the story of the frozen base. When I hacked the guys' heads, when Ejaz, one of the characters, killed the kids. And so those who know the story know what we're talking about. Trust me, it was school friendly, and I made it as accessible as possible, and had spoken to the principal about it. And of course, the Cabo scene again. What was the worst part of Coriolis? Yusuf tricking us. Nothing. The babies, children, I said they were all like 6-year-olds. Going through the tunnel was boring. Nothing, a blank. Being called a betrayer. I had Wahina. This character had gained the confidence very well with three crits, and so because she abandoned her, leaving her on the biome and running away, that she turned her head completely around and told her that she was a betrayer. And the ending of it was they all got stuck on scooters in the middle of space with with their ship being exploded by another ship that had come in, and then that ship was exploded. They're stranded in space with limited oxygen and on their scooters. So kind of in the middle of nowhere. And then it was the second side of the page, and I asked them more detailed questions, more personal questions. What was your overall favorite scene for your character? Hacking the guy's heads, when he got the drone and I knew about critical damage. When Zoe hit Isaac, she put her high heel through this person's mouth. And made him drool. It was a random roll, and so it was on the crit table. The fire, killing everybody in the elevator. This was a theme for this player. I wrote to the principal because I shared all these answers with the principal and with their homeroom teachers, that this was a theme with the young person. Like, this was the quintessential murder hobo. Give this person D&D, they will love it. So anyway, where was I? Yeah. In the hall, this was a large promenade in in the what happened in Space Station 18 or whatever it was called. My character changing from Vaesen to Coriolis, and then there was a character in Summer in December who decided to roll down the hill from. They were acrobatic and they rolled down the hill from where they encountered the Queen of the Spring at first, when they needed to go and convince everybody that the priest needed to marry this faun with this woman. It was a wonderful scene. It's funny how some of the things that I would have thought would have been very important didn't match up. That what the one group never even talked about the kids really, or the encounter or the mystery as much. So, but that's just the way it was. What was your favorite scene for someone else's character? When Jabril got a lightsaber, so that was a Mercurium sword. When Zoe used her fan to deflect bullets, this was just a couple of days ago, and a very shy young lady was using her fan, and she just said, "Can I use my fan to deflect bullets?" And it's a steel fan. It was it was an attacking weapon for her, and I thought, she's come up with the idea. Why the heck not? And so I just let her play it, and she rolled. She got 3 successes, and I was like, yeah, you can do this. And everybody just had a great laugh. It was awesome. And then one of the young ladies of the group said to this girl, Zoe, "Oh, do it. Show everybody how you do it." So she grabbed a paper and she did it like this. And then the other one was like, "No, you do it like Wonder Woman with her arm bracelet." So so it was really engaging for everybody. Um, when Ijaz killed the kids, that seemed to be one of the most important things. The Revenant, when one of the characters was hacking, and when Juro killed Jabril. Do you feel you could make decisions for your characters? I thought it was important to ask an agency question. Did you? So I said to them beforehand when I gave out the questions, I said, did you feel I was running your characters, or did you feel you always had the final decision, or even any decision? And it was 8-0. Everybody said yes, that they felt like they could, they were making decisions. What did you learn about yourself playing a character? I use more of myself when I'm doing something that's fun for me. I'm a killing machine. That, again, you probably know the person now. Not much. I'm a good tech whiz. It's fun to play as someone else. To not go to a random inn in the middle of nowhere. Well, yes, don't go to the Witch Cat Inn. It's not a good place. I changed a lot, said one of the characters. I think that was very evident to the principal and myself, that the individual changed over the course of the year and became much more bold. I can show off, said one of the kids. What was it like playing with your group of classmates? Because they don't often get to play in this way. Really fun, because I saw sides I didn't know about. Pretty good, cool. It was fun and good being able to talk about RPGs in class. Fun and enjoyable. I loved it. Fun. So exceptionally good reviews of playing with their classmates. Do you feel you got to know other players better as people? Yes. No. Good. Yeah, sure. Because X character isn't in my class. Yes. A lot. Yes, they are really nice. Yes. No. So 2 no's, and everybody else felt like yes, they did. What was the best GM moment? Saying that the girl in the bio, saying that the girl in the biodome looked like she was farting. I'm a crazy GM. What can I say? Being there, scaring this girl and getting to solve problems. Uh, when Reluctant Artsy got mad, they don't know that, they used my real name. Him slamming on the table for dramatic effect. Uh, when you hit the table, just me, myself was the best moment, and I don't know. What was the worst GM moment? And these should tickle some Year Zero engine players. Taking our cells, because I used the darkness points only to burn through their cells. That was the only kind of detriment that they had with the darkness points. Giving me a best choice and not doing it. So there's a mechanism that an individual can ask the GM for what the best choice is, and I kind of didn't really give them the best choice. I gave them the best of two choices. Uh, when would you use darkness point? When you would use darkness points against us? When Reluctant Artsy got mad, uh, some of the kids still needed some oversight, and there were times when there was a lot of fidgeting and a lot of distraction, which required me to kind of articulate that that they needed to take this more seriously because it was getting a little bit out of hand. Yelling, because I would yell occasionally. When you hit the table really hard for dramatic effect. Slamming the table. So obviously, slamming the table was not the best thing. But again, it was like, I'd slam the table and say, the Revenant cake, comes out of the shadows, and I bang the table. But in a way, it was to kind of get them to wake up because they were all lulled into this kind of, you could see that they were bored. But I think that the kids just weren't used to me, worse to anybody slamming a table. But it wasn't, I never slammed the table in anger. Even when I got mad, I would just yell. And there was and the teachers and staff were all over the place. We were playing in the library, so yeah, and that's about it. What was it like playing a game with an adult? Because a lot of adults don't play games with kids any longer. It was fun, cool, fun. It was okay. Reluctant Artsy is awesome, so yeah, fun, really fun. Actually, you are really nice. I don't know why the actually is there. I liked it, fun. Then I ask a number of yes and no questions. So would you recommend playing a tabletop RPG to someone else? 7 said yes, 1 said no. Would you play a tabletop RPG with your friends, not with an adult? 7 said yes, 1 said maybe. Do you think you would buy a tabletop RPG book or system? 6 said yes and 2 said no. So that gives me the indication that there was definitely one person for sure who was not completely on board. And I think I know who that is. And so I think that there were 1 or 2 players who were on the edge. And I think the comment about being bored was very telling. What would be your favorite type of tabletop role-playing game if you could choose any? Now, some took this literally and used examples, and I think 1 person or 2 came up with completely different things. Vaesen, Walking Dead, Coriolis, D&D, Alien, dystopian horror sci-fi game, I love that, Halo, Coriolis, Stranger Things. So, pretty much Free League has this covered because I think the dystopian horror sci-fi game could easily be Mutant Year Zero, and obviously Stranger Things is either Tales from the Loop or Tales from the Flood. And probably for this group, I think the Tales for the Flood would be best. The penultimate question was, what should Reluctant Artsy run for the new grade 7s on Tuesday next year? And I gave them 4 options. 19th century mystery, like Vaesen. Space horror, like Coriolis or Alien. An Asian fantasy, so kind of something that would be along the lines of maybe the Japanese Vaesen, or maybe something that I'm developing, or a classic fantasy, and I named Dragonbane or the One Ring, and I explained a little bit about that because I'm not going back to D&D with the kids. It's like a money pit. It's like introducing a child to Magic the Gathering. Do you really want to do that to their parents? And do you really want to do that to the kids? I don't. But anyway, you might. So for the 19th century mystery, 2 said yes. I thought it would be much higher because everybody was saying how great they enjoyed Vaesen, but it sounds like they enjoyed their characters more than they enjoyed the game. 4 said space horror. So space horror is the majority winner in this one. Asian fantasy had 1 and classic fantasy had 1. I was really surprised. I thought it would go differently. So, and then the last question was, how can I make the after school program better? And this was very touching. You don't need to make it better. I liked it the way that it is. Doing it in the hall instead of the library, well, I can't do that because the hall is my domain. It's a church domain. And so that would be different. Like in the summer, I'm running the the good kids have decided to play. I have 5 of them, and they're going to start the Walking Dead beta in a couple of weeks on Tuesday from 9 a.m. until 12. And so that's going to be awesome because these are like what I would consider the ones who were really invested and really liked playing and being imaginative. I did open it up to everybody. I had parents sign off on it, knowing full well what it was and what it was based on. And so, but that's my thing, and I have to have coverage and all that stuff. But when I'm running it as an after school program, I am responsible to the principal and to the teachers, to the parents, and the school needs to be able to provide the um, comfort and acknowledgement that I, as a after school program leader, and being open to all students. So I don't choose who is or isn't in the group. That's up to the principal and the teachers. And I can say that I'm having a problem with a student. And actually, the student that left or that was taken out of the group was taken out by the principal and not by myself. I actually thought it was pretty harsh, but it ended up working out in the long run. So I can't have it in the hall. It needs to be the library because it's after school program. It's pretty good now. He can't because he already made it the best. Aw. Make it comfortable for the kids. Now, I think that that's important, that somebody recognize that it needs to be comfortable for the new ones. Be more funny. Toward the end, I was getting grumpy. But I was getting grumpy, and I explained to them, I'm old, I don't have a lot of patience. So I'd have a kid who was constantly like throwing the dice around. And I had the same kid who was taking off sunglasses and passing them around. I never had a problem with cell phones or anything like that, but I definitely had a problem with this kind of, you know, distractions galore. In the library, they have some sofas and stuff. We were sitting around a table, and you know, they would lay on the sofa, and I'd say, "You're not going to play the game unless you're at the table." And so there were some distractions. Now, okay, so be more funny. And the last comment was, "Don't make us share food." Well, the school doesn't allow them to have food in the classrooms or library anyway, so I was kind of giving them a bit of, but I said to them, if you're going to bring food, it's not fair that I allow you to eat food and everybody else has had a long day at school and they're starving. So if you're going to eat, you can share. If you're going to drink a juice box, obviously you're not going to share. But if you bring something to eat and you've saved it, you know, I thought that I was giving a bone. Anyway, you can mention in the comments whether I'm just a big meanie. But I did express to them that, you know, I'm old. I'm I can't concentrate when everybody's going nuts. So as the months wore on, I think that I certainly wasn't mean, or else the kids would have mentioned that, and they knew that there was no names on them, that this was going to their principal, and that uh, and that there was no worry about spelling mistakes or anything like that, and then it's not about me, it was about neutrality, so that others would be able to know the truth about how the after-school program is going. So I think that I was just losing patience with those who were getting bored. Um, the principal gave me in the beginning of the year, as they did pre-COVID, the students who have probably they're not the sporty type, and they generally all have either some level of learning disability or physical disability or physical issue that um, potentially or is recognized as a problem within the class. And so, or needed more socialization and more interaction. And, or was awkward, just generally awkward. Myself, as a young person their age, would have really thrived in this type of environment because I was a very awkward person. And I think I would have benefited from having to get to know other people around me and them know me because I really wasn't an outgoing person. And so this gave opportunity for people who generally are shy either because they feel different from everyone else. Um, anyway, I felt all in all that it was really good, and that at the end of the year, I could definitely see not only the growth of them as kind of students and stuff. Their writing got better and they became more articulate and stuff. Just general growth issues, right? But I could see that they also um, grew as people uh, and learnt the mechanics and were more seamless in that we're dealing with each other better. And the ones who were bored, who were aggravating me, were bored because either their character no longer fit who they were in Vaesen, changing to Coriolis, or they just generally wanted to have the type of game where they went up and just shot everything. And that just wasn't the way I wanted to play. And it's funny, but the individual who was the murder hobo in the group and enjoyed killing all the characters and stuff, they were the individual who played originally a fighter, barbarian, in D&D pre-COVID. So it all makes sense. Anyway, these are just my impressions and obviously a review from the kids. I don't know if this is helpful to anybody, but it certainly was helpful for me. And thank you very much for watching. I don't know how long I've been, but I better get to my oven because I got something heating up. Take care. Bye.